right, let's start with this program that we have to write for the lab solutions. So today I'm gonna cover a little bit of concepts that people have been missing. A lot of students are not able to comprehend that how to start and solve the problem. So I'm gonna start. So whenever you have some labs to solve or some problems to solve when you're working on your problems, the first thing and the most important thing is to read the question. You have to understand what is happening in the question, and automatically you'll be able to write. It's like translating one language which is written in English here to another language which computer can understand. That's what we are trying to do. We are trying to write this English program, try to solve it with some logics, write it in a correct syntax so that Python interpreter can interpret it and we can write the Python code for it. So we are doing nothing, but we are trying to understand the problem first, okay? So to do that, let's write a number guessing game that generates a random number between 1 and 100. I know that I've been working on, like we have to work on a number guessing game where we generate the random number between 1 and 100. So let's begin with note taking, okay? So I go to editor, I create a new file, I select the Python file and I got in here. So we are saying that we have to generate a random number between 1 and 100. That is what the program is saying, right? Okay, let's continue. The player will have only 10 attempts to guess the number through the terminal. So what I will do instead of reading in here, let's go back and do the program in here basically. Okay, so I'm gonna take the note out of here. I'm just copying the text here. So write a number guessing game that generate a number between 1 and 100. The player will have only 10 attempts. So we know that we have 10 attempts to guess the number. Okay, so we have 10 attempts to guess the number. After each guess by the player, your game will need to provide a feedback to the player if the guess number is greater or less than the random number. So we know that these are the key things. See itself, it is saying a lot. So we are done with this part. I don't need it. If the player guesses correctly, your game must acknowledge their success and the game should end immediately. And for that, we have a hint that you will need to use a break keyword. So now I know that if success, then use break keyword to end the game and must acknowledge the success as well. So basically, acknowledge the success and then use the acknowledge the success and use the break keyword. When I have to do this all will happen. So we know that if the guess is greater, then we have to print a message greater. Whatever feedback it is, right? The guess number is greater. That makes logical sense, right? Or we are trying to print the guess number is less, or if less than the random number, then we have to print the message. Or if we guess correct, we must acknowledge print. Acknowledge means print the success message, right? And use the break statement. These are our code so far. If player runs out of attempt, we will need to output a message that tells that they have run out of the attempt. So we have another condition. If no more attempt, then we have to print a message, no more attempt left, right? Out of attempt. So this is our logic we have to write. And for this, you will use the for loop as statement to accomplish this. You may assume that the player will only enter the valid integers. So now let's go back to PDF. We have interpreted whatever question was. We have done nothing but interpreted this, right? So let me pull this so that you will be able to understand. So we are talking about this thing, right? So write a number guessing game. So this is a number guessing game which generates a random number between 1 and 100. So we know that we have to generate a random number. How do we do that? I don't know. So let's say random number equal to imaginary number. 43 is my guessing number, right? We have to generate it randomly though. But I don't know how to generate a random number. So I will go to the lecture slide, or I will do the Google search, generate random number, Python. Okay. And we know that all we have to do is W3 schools. So generate a random integer from 0 to 100 is this one. 5 random float. So I don't know. It is like generating 0 to 100, right? If I read the method, how does this work? You might get answer that how to generate a random number between 1 and 100. We have to do 1 and 100. So generate Python random number 1 to 100. If I'm not sure, I'm gonna Google more precise question, right? So now I know that it takes two parameters, rand int one, rand int function takes two parameter, 1 and 100. So this is how I will generate a random number. I know now I know that this is how you generate a random number, right? But rand int is again coming through a library. So you will write the code to generate a random number. Okay. And once you generated it, then you print it and see if you are able to generate a random number. I think previously you have generated, so I'm not gonna tell you about how to generate it or exactly, I'm not gonna give you the code. So I'm imagining like my random number generated is 43. Now I have 10 attempts to guess the number. And for this program, you can see that we have to use the nested loop, for loop, a statement, and this is our example output. So we can see that I have generated a random number. After generating a number, I would like to print a message, right? So I will use the print function where I will say that, okay, I have generated a random number, but nowhere it says like what is the random number between 1 to 100, right? And then you will have 10 attempts to guess. So this is my message. You can see that this is a message which I have to display. So this print statement will take care of it, right? Now 10 attempts to guess the number. What does it say? 10 attempts means like we see that there is a for loop involved here. So we have to run the loop 10 times. You have to ask user every time Like you can see the guess one, guess two, guess three, whatever user is guessing based on some input that user is providing, we have to decide the conditional statement if it is greater than my random number generated or less than my random number generated, whatever message I have to define in here. So we know that we have to run a loop for 10 times, right? So I know the for loop is required to be run for 10 times, right? So we are guessing a number and we are saying that uh, we have to run a for loop for 10 times. So we are saying that, okay, what is the attempt number one? So attempt number in, we use the range function and we say that 1 to 11, not 11 is not included, so 1 to 10. So this loop will run 10 times, right? This is for loop which will run 10 times, and each time there will be an attempt which will be having a value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like for 10 iteration. And you see that the pattern is guess 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have to print attempt, but I have to put a guess around it. So I'm saying, okay, guess. And then I'm saying format it to have the attempt value in it. And I want the colon as well. And I'm saying give, so guess one is like 50. You see, this is like colorful. So it's gonna come through the user, right? So I'm saying guess is nothing but a type integer value that user will enter. And if I want an input from a user, what I say, I always use the input function. This time I don't want to display a message because I'm printing a message separately. So I'm giving nothing inside the input parameter. So what will happen? The loop will run, attempt will be one, guess one, the user will give an input, user will give an input 50. Based on this input value, I have to decide certain conditions and I have written if the guess is greater than what? Random number. We have the random number in a random variable, right? We have generated a random number previously. I'm saying if the guess is greater than random number, and what is the guess? The guess is the number that I'm getting from the user as an input guess. So all this will come inside the for loop. So indentation is really important. If you don't do the indentation, your code is gonna behave weirdly. So you see this for loop has a white stretch scope of this for loop. Within this for loop, I'm saying that for attempt one, take the attempt from the user, take the input from the user. And if the user, which is user guessing number, which is their guessing number, is greater than random number. So for greater than, I know that the greater than sign works. And the random number is, I'm gonna change this. So the variable name is random num, not number. So I'm saying if guess is greater than random number, so my random number is 43. If I guessed 50, then I wanna print the message, right? Print is greater. Whatever message you have to print, like your guess is greater than the random number, try again. Any message you can type in here. And I'm saying that either it will be a greater or it will be less, right? So instead of or if, what we have? We have elif, right? Elif guess is less than random number. It will be greater or will be less, right? I don't know, whatever it is. So we have to check it. The program has to check it whether if it is greater or it is less. What is the third condition? Third condition is it is equal to the guess number. If I guess 43 exactly in the first attempt is less. Okay. Guess number is less than the random number. What is the third condition? You can write guess is correct, right? So again, elif, or you can do the else also because there is no third condition. The two numbers when you're comparing, either it is greater, it is less, or equal to. So you can write else or you can write elif also. If you want to write elif, how you know that the guess number is correct? So you compare the guess number with the random number. So if the guess number is equal to random number, then you will say that, oh yeah, you achieved the great response because you guessed it correct, right? And then you have to use a break keyword also because you don't want to continue. That is the that is the point, right? So you don't need to terminate it, but the point here is if you're guessing it in the first guess itself, if you guess the correct number, you don't want to continue. So for that, you use the break statement, right? So you use the break statement only if you guess the correct number. If you don't guess it, then you keep going on, keep going on, keep going on 10 times. How many times you will go? 10 times only. What will happen at the end? At the end, there is no more attempt left, right? Because you guessed all 10. So you can just simply print the message that you're out of attempt. But this should come outside of the for loop after you guessed all the 10 attempts. If you have not guessed the 10 attempts and if you just indent it, then it will do something else which you don't want to do. You will print out of attempt every time. Do the mistakes, you will learn by yourself. So I'm gonna save this program somewhere. Uh, let's name this as helper file for lab 7, right? We're working on lab 7, I believe. Yes. So I saved it as a helper lab for lab 7. Let's run this. I've generated a random number between you will have 10 attempts to guess, and you see my first guess is coming. So since I have defined the hard-coded 43, you will be generating a random number here, but let's keep guessing. So if I say it is 50, the guess number is greater. Is it 40? The guess number is less. Is it 30? Again, it is less. Again, 20, is it less? Yes, less. If I say 43, must acknowledge their success. See, I am acknowledging the success and I'm printing out of attempts. Out of attempts should not be printed here. So my logic is not correct, right? No matter whatever is happening, I'm printing out of attempts. Whereas I should have printed out of attempts only if one of these falls. Should not fall in here. So once this line is executed, the break statement, I don't want it. So I can use the else portion with the for loop. So for loop this, and I can write the else statement here to print the out of attempts. So let's run this again. I'm gonna clear the screen to show you better. So I'm saying, okay, guess the number 50 is greater, 43, must acknowledge their success. This portion is not executed because this is in the else portion. So what happened is this is break, this is if condition, like a virtual if is existing here. If all these code has been executed, all the 10 attempts have been done, then only else portion will run and will give you the out of attempt. Okay. I think I solved this problem. I'm not gonna solve the rest of the problem. I was just trying to show you how to solve this any problem that you come across. In that process, I probably showed you all the program. So this was your program 1. Let's work on program 2. And I want to follow up with me. Okay. When we are writing program two, when we are solving program two, what did I tell you? The first step is to read the question. So read the question is like what you're trying to solve exactly. Try to write in comments. So we are trying to develop a fitness app. Treat walking one step as a walking 2.5 feet. So we are saying that fitness app treat walking one step as 2.5 feet. So one step is nothing but equal to 2.5 feet. So we know that one step is nothing but 2.5 feet. This is note taking I'm doing, okay? One step is nothing. One step of walking is nothing but equal to 2.5 feet. I know that. Define a function name feet to step. So feet to step is the function that we have to define that takes float as a parameter. So we need to give one parameter to this function. Now, my first question would be if I was in your place, that what is a function? Maybe professor or lecturer has covered it in the class, but the skill we are trying to cover in this one is creating a user-defined function. So we have a user-defined function named feed to step. And how do we do that? Go back to the class, lectures, and if you are not sure, Google it, okay? How to define a user-defined function. So this is our user-defined function. If you have not covered and paid attention in the class, you can pay attention here. And we are talking about that take a float as a parameter representing the number of feet walked and returns an integer that represents the number of steps walked. So it takes the user feet, that how much feet, like how much a user has walked in feet. User walked in feet, right? And what does it say? Define a function that take floating parameter because we can walk 2.5 feet, we can walk 10.5, we can walk 12.5. So for example, I say 12.5 feet, okay? If a user says that, okay, I walk 12.5 feet, then this is a floating point value, right? So this has to be a floating point value that we don't care. So this is how we, right now we don't care, but while taking an input, we will care about it. So this is nothing but input. So see the example output says, please enter the travel distance in feet. So we know that we have to ask from user distance travel in feet. This will be an input from the user, which has to be of type float. So I'm doing a typecast of a float, right? So a user enters an input variable, which is of type float, and which says that why this is giving error. Okay, we'll fix it. Probably it will get fixed because of this define function is not complete. It is giving error. So we know that if we comment this out, it will go away. So we know that from the output that please enter distance travel in feet, a user will enter 183.4. So let's check it. So it has to be of type float and it has to be an input function with the message displayed like this. And using this user defined function, we have to show that how many steps a user has walked. So here it is written, define a function named feet to steps that takes floating value as a parameter representing the number of feet walked and returns the integer that represents the number of steps walked. So we have a function which will take some value and now we know that it will return some value. So for example, if I walked 73 steps or maybe 10 steps, okay. So this is how you return. So this is a function, that's how you define. So here we have to write a logic have to write a logic to use variable. This is variable, right? User walked in feet. To use the variable user walked in feet to process and put some logic to generate desired output. Okay, so we are using the variable user walked in feeds and process them to put some logic which generates desired output. So our desired output is 73 steps, and how it is calculated, you have to write a logic here. I'm just showing you how to write a user defined function. So here you will write a logic and you return that value, right? So the logic to count steps, how you'll count the steps is equal to 20. How you count that it is 73 steps. That's what the logic you will write. And you will say that, okay, return the steps. So what will happen is whenever this function is called with the floating point value as our input, your program will write some logic. You will write some logic which will give you the count of steps and it will be returned to the user, right? So steps walked, if I have to find the steps walked, what I will do is I will call this function that you have defined with my input from the user, that how many feet I have walked. And this value 20 in this case will be returned to and stored in steps walked. Okay. Now simply I will just use the print function to print the steps walked. So this will return me, no matter what input I give, it will return me 20 steps walked. So here is our main program as we have been writing before. Here I have defined a user defined function where the name is feed to steps. It takes an input parameter, which is a floating type, floating point value. Whatever value it takes, I process it. I do some logic behind it that you have to come up with. What is the logic behind converting the feet to step? We have seen it here. 2.5 feet is one step. So whatever, like if I have passed here 10, then how many steps you have walked? 4 steps. How you calculate it? That logic you will write here. How you found the steps using this, okay? So you do some calculation here, plus, minus, divide, whatever. And then you get the steps count. So you are taking an input from a user, you're passing that to a function, putting no brainer, this function is doing some logic. It is returning you the steps walked and you're printing the steps walked using a print function. So now if I run this program, it will ask me the input, and no matter whatever input I give, if I say 500 feet, still I will be getting 20 as a return output. I'm gonna clear it and I'm gonna show you. No matter how many feet I walk, maybe 200, still my count will be 20 because I hard coded it. But you will write some logic here to calculate and find that what logic you wanna use. Okay. So read the question, try to process it. I think I haven't done that exercise quite in here for program 2, but you have to do that. Define a function, floating point parameter representing the number of feet walked represented. Then write a main program that this is the main program you're writing. If you want to write, be more clear, this is the main program. Whatever you write is by default main program, but if you mention it like this is gonna be better. So write a main program that read the distance walked. I'm reading the distance walked in feet as an input. Call the function. I'm calling the function with the input as an argument. This input as an argument in here, function and argument. And output the number of steps as an integer number of steps. as an integer. So this has to be an integer type. Use floating point arithmetic to perform the conversion. How you convert it? You have to, this has to be of type integer. Okay. And how do you do that? That's up to you. Integer value. I want integer value to be returned from here. Integer value to be returned. Okay. Okay, let's do the third program. So this is how you will finish your program 2. And I'm gonna do a comment for program 2 and let's move on to the program 3. What is the program 3 saying? Okay, let's do the exercise. First thing is read the question. Make the notes, automatically translate whatever is written in English to the Python language. What does it say? In many chat and messaging program, automated programs or robots are used to filter banned words from the beginning from being sent to the user. So any chat program or bots, whenever you chat with a customer care, the usual practice is that you should not use the banned words, like bad words, for example. So how do you filter those? That's the program you're gonna write. In many chat and messaging program, automated programs or bots are used to filter banned words from being sent to the user. Define a function named text filter. So we have to again define a function named text filter that takes string as a parameter. So we got the idea, right? We're gonna do the note taking. Function which has the name text filter and string as argument or parameter. Argument and parameter are the same word, okay? Slash parameter. So this is what we have to define. Define a function named text filter that takes string as a parameter. Represent representing the message that is about to be sent. So this is the message basically, right? So text filter having a parameter. Text filter is the function name. I have taken the note and now I'm writing a code because I know that how to write a user-defined function. The user-defined function is nothing but having a def keyword, function name, parameters, and colon. And it returns a new string. So I know this message is nothing but a type string, right? This string, I know that. But what we have to do in this one? Define a function named text filter that takes string as a parameter, string parameter, representing a message that is about to be sent. This message is about to be sent. And it returns a new string that has words in the list of banned words removed. So this is a message, whatever message I'm saying turkey was delicious this Thanksgiving. Suppose this is my message, okay? So it is saying that this was the message that I was about to send, but the chat bot is going to process this message. So my message is equal to this for now. I'm just creating an imaginary scenario that what if my message is like this? What I have to do is I have to process this message inside this user-defined function, which will returns a new string that has the words in the list of banned words removed. So this is the list of banned words, which needs to be removed in this method. So I know that string final message. So final message is our new string that has to be returned, right? So I'm saying return final message. Okay, I'm returning this final message. But before returning this final message, I have to process this message to remove the banned words. And what is the banned words? Then write a main program that read the message string as an input, calls text filter, and output a new filter text. For this program, your banned word list will only contain the following 5 words. So you see, banned word list will contain following 5 words. So now I know that in the main program, I know that the banned word list, it means that it is a list of words. So banned word is nothing but a list, right? And how do we define the list? Square brackets. That's how you create the list. And we have a banned words in it. We have turkey, we have dog, and likewise we have more, right? So you'll write the list of banned words here. We know that this is a banned word list. This is our message. And this message has to come from where? So if you see the example output, input message, the quick brown fox jumps. So this message has to come from a user, right? So where does it say that? Uh, Write a main program. So let's start with writing a main program. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start writing a main program. Anything, everything comes in a main program, which is apart from the user-defined function. So in the main program, the first thing is I'm doing is defining the banned word list. Okay. Write a main program that reads the message string as an input. Message string as an input, and message is a string. So our message is, we have to take a message as an input of type string from a user, and this message is input message. Whatever input message comes into this variable as an input of type string calls the text filter, and now I have to call the text filter, calls the method as, right, with the input as an argument. This input as a argument in it, and outputs the new filter text. So we are returning a final message, which is again string. The final filtered message will be a new variable where I will be holding the output of this function, which will return the final filtered message. And I will just print this message, right? And how do I print output message is this. I will write the print for final message, filtered message, and I will format it accordingly. But the main logic is in here. How do you write the logic to filter the banned words from this one? For this, we have a hint. The membership in operator can be used to test if a string is in the list of banned words. So message, we have the message. This is the message. We can use the in operator to check if the list, if the string is in the banned word, in the list of banned words. And the built-in string method split will separate string at a white space. So we know that we have a white space here, and we have to split this whole sentence into words to check whether these each word, how do we, so yeah, let's think about it. How do we filter out the banned words out of the statement? So the basic logic says that, okay, you process the each word in the statement, check if it is belonging to the banned list, yes or no. If it is belonging to the banned list, then we don't include it in the final message. Otherwise, we keep the message as is, right? So we know that we have to write a if condition And we know that we cannot do the whole message because whole message is a statement. So we have to track each word in the message is in list of banned words. So we will check each word in the message, whether it is in the list of banned words, then remove that word, right? Otherwise, now we know that otherwise means there is else. Do nothing. Final message will have. So I'm gonna define a final message here. And I'm saying final message will have plus equal to, which means that whatever the final message plus equal to that word, right? So to check each word, we know that we have to have a loop, right? So we know that for loop for each word, so we are saying each word. See, this is how I'm processing. For each word in the message, right? For each word in the message. And how do I do get the each word in the message? The message is a sentence, right? Sentence, whenever you have a string, and if you do the each word in the string, it will take one character, but I don't want one character, I want one word. And for that, it is saying that split will separate with the white space. So list of words in message, right? I need a list of word in the message. And for each word, then I will be able to check it, right? And how do I get the list of each word? Nothing but message.split, right? This will return me list of words in the message. If I'm not sure about it, I will keep printing this message. How does split work? I will Google on it, check on W3 schools, split. So see Python's string split method. Welcome to the jungle. If I do the text.split, what does it do? Welcome to the jungle. This list has been formed. And now for each item in the list, which is the word in the list of this message, I can write certain logic in here, right?